Okay, sorry about the short, kind of quick stop on the last one. I like to really try to keep them right at 15 minutes so it's more bite-sized and manageable for you guys. And that's why sometimes I get going and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, time's running out. So, can apologize, but let's keep talking about these lipids, fats, oils, waxes. All right, so actually I'm going to move this picture down here as well because we need a little more room, a little bit more to talk about with lipids. We are good with that. So what I was mentioning in the previous slide, lipids, the primary purpose, if nothing else, you want a lipid for a cell membrane. All right? You can't have a cell without lipids. So we have to consume a certain level of lipids in our diet to be healthy, to rebuild cells, to make our body function. The lipid of concern are the triglycerides. I'm going to increase the font here so it makes it a little easier for all of us to see. There we go. All right, triglycerides. Now, triglycerides are going to be made up of glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Tri meaning 3 fatty acids, glycerol is the glycerides. So, we want a certain level. Of triglycerides to be considered healthy. This is something you need to talk with your family doctor, whoever you go to for healthcare, to get a feel for what is healthy for you. We're all different. Genetics, body type, age, gender, all these things play a role in what is considered healthy for each of us individually. All right? Sorry, there we go. All right, so I'm not going to tell you what's a healthy level. I want you to research that with your family care doctor. I wouldn't just Google it because a lot of that stuff I look at on Google is not accurate. It does not take into consideration all sorts of factors. It's just very generic. So when we're eating lipids, because they are part of our diet, they're in the foods we eat. That chocolate bar you're eating will have lipids in it. When we're eating lipids, we want to try to be more aware of which type of lipid are we eating. Are we consuming a saturated, or are we consuming an unsaturated? Now, saturated lipids or fats, as the diagram, this little picture up here shows, right up here, these tend to be solid at room temperature. So a stick of butter, that container of lard, those are saturated lipids. Typically, these lipids are from animals. Bacon grease solidifies when it becomes room temperature. Tastes good, but not the healthiest. These are not healthy. The reason they're not, easier. The reason they're not healthy is our body will hold on to them easier. So if we eat them and we don't use it, our body's like, hey, good stuff. Let's hang on to this. And let's stick it here, stick it there, and put it somewhere in your body. And now you're building body fat because of overconsumption of lipids and not using them for what they need to be used for. So our body stores them because it thinks, I might need this later, and it holds on to it. Now, the unsaturated lipids tend to come from plants. These are the ones that are considered healthier. And the reason they're considered healthier is our body tends to get rid of these. I don't want this. I don't know what to do with it. It's from a plant. I'm going to get rid of it. Saturated animal-based, typically. Unsaturated, typically plant-based. And if you look at them, if we were going to go into the chemistry, they're very, very similar. The big difference is saturated, straight chains, unsaturated have this kink in the chain. They're actually kind of bent, which gives them a little bit of a different shape. So if you're going to eat lipids, it's better to eat the unsaturated lipids versus the saturated. So if you guys are cooking, going to make dinner tonight, and you need lipids for it, try to lean towards the unsaturated, those plant-based oils. They're going to be healthier for you. Now here's the big number I want you to remember. Triggered 1. 1 gram of a lipid gives us roughly 9 calories of energy. Okay, that's huge, huge, huge issue. Remember with carbohydrates, I said if you have a 2,000 calorie need or requirement, it would take 500 grams of carbohydrates. Well, let's do the same math here. If I need 2,000 calories, how many grams of lipids would I need to eat? So you just take 2,000, divide it by 9, and you need about 222 grams of fats to give you the same energy that you would get from the 500 grams of carbs. So there's a big difference. When we eat lipids, we're eating majorly energy-packed foods, and we're often consuming way too many calories. There's the problem with lipids. If you ate the same mass or the same amount of food, the same volume or mass or size of a plate, pile on your plate, or whatever, I come up with a good example, and it's got a lot of lipids in it, you're getting way too many calories. This is where our health issues come into the picture. So it's a better move to cut fat out of your diet than carbohydrates. Reduce the amount of fat. Don't eliminate completely. Reduce it, and you're going to be better off health-wise, weight-wise, etc., than if you eliminate carbs from your diet. It's just a simple math thing here. All right, so those are the lipids. We need them. They're good stuff. And oh yeah, they taste good, especially you got some bacon when you fry that up. Yeah, little pork on the fork and some bacon. Moderation though, guys. That's the key. So, all right. Third group of macromolecules. Proteins. Oh, I need a little box here for us. Protein. Proteins are absolutely essential for the human body. Now, when we talk about proteins, proteins serve a ton of different functions. Proteins can be used for structure, muscle, enzymes, cell receptors, immune system, ligaments, and tendons. I'm just going to add an etc. because there's a whole bunch of stuff protein does for us. It is one of the most versatile structures in the body. It's all over the place, people. Everywhere in the body, there's protein doing something. Now, when we look at proteins, proteins are made up of little things called amino acids. There are 20 different amino acids out there in nature. We need all 20. The good news is we generally get them if we eat a balanced diet. If you're eating meat, you're eating protein. Your body digests it, breaks it down, turns it into tiny little amino acids, and then just rebuilds it. It's like getting a Lego structure, ripping apart the Legos, and rebuilding it into a different form. That's all digestion does. And that's what we do with proteins. So you had chicken for dinner. You ate protein. Your body digests it, rips it apart, rebuilds it into the muscle you need in your body, or an enzyme you need for your digestive system, or ligaments, or tendons, or your immune system. It's all being done with the proteins that you've consumed throughout the day. Now, you don't have to be a meat eater. If you're vegan, wonderful. But make sure you're balancing your amino acids and you get all the protein in the right combinations to be healthy. Totally possible. Billions of people on this planet are vegan and vegetarians, vegans, and they are healthy. Rice and beans is a great balancing act to get the amino acids in the correct amounts to stay healthy. And lots of people, that's all they can afford. They're not vegan out of desire. It's out of they can't afford protein in the form of meats. So, okay, so protein. Protein. Important. Very, very essential. We're going to use it for all these different things after we've satisfied all these needs. And if we don't have carbs or lipids, we can use proteins for energy. Proteins give us about 4 calories per gram when we talk about the energy return. So they're pretty comparable to the carbohydrates. But the point here is, if I need energy, I should be getting it from carbs first, because carbs digest easier and are easier to process. Overconsumption of protein, not good on your body. Your kidneys will not be happy with you. Your digestive system doesn't like it. So balancing is the key here. Okay, now when we're looking at proteins, proteins come in 4 different forms, 4 different levels. Let me get a little box. Insert. So we have first level protein, second level protein. So it's just literally level 1, 2, 3, 4. As you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, you get more complex. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Complexity increases as you go this way to this way to this way. That's all it is. Now the key is when you eat these proteins, maybe you started at the 3rd level and your body has to reduce it through digestion down to 2nd, down to 1st, and then boop, pop it into all those little amino acids we talked about. Then you can use the amino acids for whatever purpose your body needs. But a huge thing to mention about protein, I'm going to put this on the next slide here. Make this a little smaller. When we discuss protein, this is a lock it in your brain type of thing. When it comes to protein, I want my font to be bigger and I want it to be very red. Shape equals function. You have to have a specific shape of the protein for it to function correctly. If you change the shape, you got a real bad day. It means your protein doesn't function. That's called denaturing. That is a serious, serious problem. So we do not want to denature the protein. Change in temperature, usually very hot, or pH, usually very acidic, is what will denature a protein and screw it up. You mess up your protein, you're done, unless you can reform it, but that doesn't happen easy. All right, next lecture, we'll look at that.